What's up, everybody? How we all doing this Saturday? My name's Protoman. This is the Transformer Slag podcast Saturday night live stream main event. This is the face that brings you all the disgrace, telling you the Transformer place Monday to Friday. I apologize for how I look. How we all doing? So we're going to go over a whole bunch of Transformer stuff this week. A lot of stuff we have to cover. A lot of good stuff that we got to see over the next couple of past days. And we're probably going to be covering a lot of stuff in the next couple of days too with that. Well, we'll get into it. It's going to be a busy week, let's put it this way. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know, that Walmart Collector Con kind of was a fart in the wind, so let's hope something else Hasbro Pulse gives us will not be the case. I'm going to fill up on water now because it is going to be an interesting one to say. How we all doing? See a lot of lovely faces in the audience. Nice to see you all again. So let's get into that. We're going to go into first some sad news, but I wanted to kind of pay this guy a bit of a tribute because he's a really interesting story that a lot of people I feel could kind of understand and reflect in and could take a lot of advice from, and he's someone that a lot of people don't know, and we'll get into that. So a couple of days ago, the voice actor of Fortress Maximus, Scorponok, Hardhead, Scattershot, Mindwipe, and of course Hunger, passed away. He was a man by the name of Stephen Keener. Now, I got to meet Stephen on two separate occasions, and he's someone who doesn't have a very illustrious career. When you look him up, there is not much to say about him outside of his Transformer credits. When there is photos of him, if it wasn't for TFCon, there would be no photos of him. So who is Stephen, and why did I want to do a tribute to him, and why he's such an important story to talk about? Stephen was born in 1940, June 17th, 1940 to be exact. And he wanted to be an actor. And he got into acting around the 1960s and the mid-1960s. And he was a classically trained actor. We're talking Broadway, we're talking stage shows. Very traditional kind of acting, especially in the early days of cinema becoming a big thing and stuff like that. And he had a very unique voice, very kind of good kind of voice for that kind of stuff. And he tried to get into acting, but just nothing ever really worked for him. And he tried in the 1960s, and he tried in the 1970s, and he tried in the 1980s. And he was bouncing around all over the place, getting 4 to 5 auditions a day, going absolutely nowhere. He said many times he quit acting and then joined acting again and quit acting and joined acting out of frustration. And, you know, he said that if it wasn't for his wife, Jackie, who constantly encouraged him, he probably would have given up many years ago. And then he started doing some beer commercials in the 1980s, and he started doing some voice work. And he even did some voice narration for documentaries. And that's when his agent said, "Hey, I got this gig you should probably check out." Now imagine, here's Stephen, you know, since the 1960s, trying to get into anything, couldn't get nothing. Tried for years and years, 2 decades of just no success. A beer commercial there, a narration of a documentary about caves, like literally nothing. And then at the age of 47, goes to an audition and lands a bunch of roles for Transformers. First time he ever lands something. Gets some decent money. He even said it to himself, "Oh, I'll actually be able to eat, feed my family," at 47. And he did those roles. He did, again, the ones that we see on the screen right here. And then he found out that Transformers was going to be canceled. This was season 4. This was Rebirth. he wasn't going to be continuing. And he tried to apply for other voice acting roles, just couldn't get them, had no success, and decided to quit showbiz altogether. He's done. He got to do some cartoon stuff, and he called it quits. He then did banking for the next 15 years of his life. He worked for Citibank as a banker, and after having a cancer scare, decided to retire at the age of 65. He went to Missouri. He relaxed there and spent the rest of his days in Missouri. Children, grandchildren, he was happy. He tried his shot at acting. It didn't work out. And that was that. And then, at the age of 78, he got a phone call. And that phone call was from TFCon. And he didn't understand what was going on. What's a TFCon? What's a convention? Transformers? I haven't thought about Transformers in 35 years. And he was told that, well, you're gonna have this table and people are gonna ask for your autograph and they're gonna pay you for your autograph. And he didn't believe it. He was like, what? People care about this? He was shocked, to say the least. And he came to TFCon, specifically TFCon Chicago back in 2018. And this man that felt that he didn't do anything in life, all of a sudden learned that there was a whole world that knew who he was and knew what he did. He did a whole bunch of panels, and he was absolutely floored by the amount of people that came out to those panels and the people that remembered him for something that he forgot. And he did that panel with Flint Dilley, and that panel is up on TFCon's YouTube channel. And he gave a tear and heartfelt thank you to the fans, because he said in his words, you know, you think you try to do something in life that matters, and you try hard your whole life and never succeed at anything. And then you find out at the age of 78 that something you did mattered to a lot of people. And I thank you for that. And he was going to cry. And even Flint Dilley was like, oh man, how do I follow that up? And it was amazing. And everyone gave him a standing ovation. And a man at 78 years old to finally realize that something he did mattered. And it was crazy because I was with James Roberts. I was James Roberts' handler that weekend, but 2 tables down with Stephen Keener. And I was seeing people bring giant Fortress Maximus boxes to him to sign. And, you know, all kinds of different things to get signed. And he was shocked. He felt like there was this world that existed that he's been missing out on. And it was incredible. And, you know, like he absolutely loved it. And I went to get his autograph. I turned to James and I was like, James, I gotta bounce for a second. I'm going to go get an autograph. And I went to go get his autograph, and I talked with him for a bit, and he stood up to shake my hand because he was, I don't know, he was a very classy guy. And when he stood up to shake my hand, you know, I'm 6'1", and I've met a lot of voice actors in my day, and voice actors in general are not very tall guys. I hate to say it, but probably the tallest voice actor I ever met was probably Gary Chalk, Mr. Optimus Primal himself. And he's 6 foot. And Gary Chalk's an imposing dude. You know, when he does his live action stuff, he's always like a cop or a general, you know. But he was 6'3", 6'4", this guy. Pretty tall dude. And I remember when he stood up, I was like, wow, you're living the Fort Max. You know, he didn't understand what I said, but I was like, you're living the Fort Max, life. Because he was actually tall too. Very tall dude. And he was so happy and impressed by everything at TFCon Chicago. And his speech at his panel was so heartfelt that Colin of TFCon brought him back for Toronto. in 2019, and he got to go to Canada and do it all over again. And he got to do a whole bunch of interviews with Evan and Mike and all the crew that do TFCon's Facebook group and everything. And there's a lot of fantastic stuff. But the moral of the story, more than anything else, is that this was a guy that at age 47 found something. And then at age 78 didn't realize that that thing he found was such an amazing thing. And he passed away March 30th, just a couple of days ago, and it was announced publicly April 5th. His wife contacted TFCon and to let everyone know that he had passed at 81 years old. They wasn't sure what caused it, but he was battling cancer back and forth throughout the years. But again, an amazing story, and I just wanted to just tell that story because it was really fascinating, and it's something that I always tell people, like, don't ever think that life is over. You know, oh, I'm 30, it's all downhill from here. Oh, I'm 40, it's all downhill from here. He thought he gave up, and then at 47 years old, he did a couple of voices in Transformers, and it resonated with people, and that's a big deal. That was a big, big, big deal, and I'm glad to have met him. I'm glad to tell his story, and that people could learn something from that kind of story. And I'm glad that in a lot of ways, you know, there's finally photos of him on the internet and he's recognized for who he is because he's been to 2 TFCons. These images you're seeing right now are from TFCon Chicago. I only blocked out the individual that took a photo with him because I didn't know if they wanted to have permission of their photo being on the podcast, just in case. You know, we get a lot of viewers. So I kind of just put Hunger there. He said his favorite character was Hunger. It was the one that he remembered the most because as a classically trained actor, he never got to do characters like that. So he felt like it was, you know, he was able to channel something from the opposite of what he normally did in a darker place. And he loved it. He loved it. So as a little tribute to him today, we're going to have in this place of Minerva, we're going to have Abominus with Hunger right there in the center chilling to celebrate Mr. Keener's life. He was a really cool dude, and I just wanted to say, rest in peace, Mr. Keener, and a very interesting story of life. Really good stuff. Now, how do I follow that up? I don't know. But I just wanted to just tell that story just because he seemed like a really cool dude. Very humble. And again, if you have a moment after the podcast today, after the stream, TFCon has a lot of good interviews with him. There's a tribute video where there's little segments in there. And then there's a whole bunch of different interviews from both the panels and individually by Evan and Mike. Really good stuff. Again, really profound life kind of stuff. Stuff that, you know, yeah, we love Transformers and we want to hear about Transformers. But sometimes it's the things that you hear about life that are really good that you could apply. And especially from a guy like him that had a very interesting journey in life. You know, he worked at the bank. He made very good money. He had children, grandchildren. But it was what we said about his roles in Transformers that actually choked him up. And it's pretty awesome stuff. Well, then let's jump into the next thing, shall we? How do I do the transition? Let's do some Transformer EarthSpark. So we got this brand new promotional image from Paramount Plus promoting Transformer EarthSpark that is going to be on the Paramount Plus network. It's also going to be on Nickelodeon. And not much to really say. I mean, they say here it's coming in fall of 2022, but they pretty much said that it's going to be November of 2022 if we had to really specify it. So definitely check that out when it comes out. I don't know about those human designs, though. You know, like I already commented about it quickly on my individual segment, but I hope that this is just a still image that isn't doing a good job at conveying the animation. It's kind of like that very first still image that we got of Transformers animated back in the day and how it didn't look that great. And the final product actually did look way better than that still image. That like little promo poster that everyone freaked out over. Hey, what's up, Princeton? Horned Owl Proto, you should clip that part and make it your own thing on YouTube. Now, I like people to go check out the TFCon channel. I want them to get the traffic and the algorithms just because it's Evan's stuff. Evan did all the hard work. I don't want to steal Evan's work, and Evan does a lot of really good stuff. He documents all the panels and everything for TFCon for everyone to see, that even if you can't get to the show, you could still check it out. I mean, his recording of the Peter Cullen panel is some epic stuff that you just never get to hear. So yeah, again, Transformers EarthSpark, November 22nd. Excuse me, November 2022. We don't have a date yet, but Paramount Plus, check it out. Weird stuff. Next up, we have a teaser from Robosen. Robosen put out a teaser. Looks like we're probably going to get more super overpriced, expensive auto-transforming robots. Who will those three be? We don't know. We have absolutely no idea who it'll be. But, I mean, we have some guesses. So, for people that don't know, years before Robosen did their public announcement of their Optimus Prime, they were actually a third-party bootleg company called Sen Power back in the day in 2017. And we talked about it on the podcast back in 2017. Geez, it was like, 5-6 years ago. And, I mean, look at all these prototypes here. They were going to do a Hot Rod. They were going to do a Hound. The Optimus Prime ended up happening in the end. And it was, it was interesting stuff. And now we have, like, these 3 cars, supposedly, that are going to be coming to Optimus Prime. And we heard Dan Gilbazon's voice in the teaser, so we can assume that it's going to be a Bumblebee. But is it going to be a Volkswagen Bumblebee? Is it going to be a movie Bumblebee? Because we heard some of that movie transforming sound in the background of the trailer. I'm thinking maybe it's just going to be the 3 different Camaros that Bumblebee was. Maybe that's the easiest way to do it. Use those 3 different Camaro shells and just superimpose those on a transforming body, and the rest is history. But again, we'll see what happens. The announcement is supposed to be, they said here, mystery unveiled on April 12th. Now, what is April 12th? I wonder, what is April 12th? Well, of course, the big thing that we're going to be talking about later this week is the Hasbro Pulse Fan First Tuesday on April 12th. Get some water in me. It's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Transformers. We're going to get a solid full hour of Transformers. And then at 12 o'clock, we're going to get some Power Rangers. And I guess that's why they call it Fan First Tuesday, as opposed to Transformer Tuesday or Fan First Friday, because it's Tuesday and Power Rangers are involved also. I think primarily because right now, John Warden's on the Power Ranger brand. So I think that maybe there's some crossover there where he probably wants to talk about some stuff that he worked on with Transformers before going into the Power Ranger brand. So maybe it's just, 2 birds with 1 stone. That's what I think. I mean, some people have speculated, it's going to be a collaborative thing. There's going to be a Power Rangers collaborative. Hey, maybe you're right. Maybe there is that. But we don't know. We're going to find out. But we probably have a little bit of an idea. Of what might be there outside of just a Robosen in that hour. And it came courtesy of Safety Korea. Now, for people that aren't familiar with Safety Korea, because some people were questioning the news that we had recently, just a couple of days ago. So Safety Korea is specifically KoreaNet Product and Safety. Is a website that documents product, if it is safe for children, if parts could break, if there's something that they could choke on, if it could break off and become a sharp edge. They're a safety guideline website for the South Korean market. Now, they've showed us stuff in the past before the rest of the world. This image you're looking at right here is how we first learned about Dinobot and Inferno. The first time we saw Dinobot and Inferno was KoreaNet Product and Safety's website. So it's not the first time something like this has happened. And lo and behold, it happened again. Oh boy. So this is all we got thus far. We got 2 box images. We got the box image right now for a Transformers Legacy Commander class Motormaster and a Transformers Shattered Glass Voyager class Shattered Glass Blaster. Now, we're probably going to see images of the product at some point. People are probably going to do some digging and detective work and find out how these look and everything. Obviously, if you look at the Motormaster on the top of the box, you get a little bit of an idea of how he looks in his plastic form of his alt mode. But otherwise, this is all we have really to base things on. And judging by his box art, we get to see 3 of the 4 Stunticons too. So at least we get an idea of what Dead End and Wild Rider and the crew and Dragstrip will look like. So that's pretty awesome. He looks like his G1 counterpart. I kind of break it down a little more in the individual segment. So be sure to check the individual segment out if you want me to kind of explain that in deeper detail. But that's still pretty cool. And as for the blaster, well, I think we have an idea now what that grinning, face is for now. Chances are it's probably going to end up on that body unless they also make a mistake again. But yeah, interesting stuff. The blaster, hopefully we get some better images of it. Obviously, the black cardboard on the inside is a whole other thing. But we don't know what they're going to do with the blaster. And, of course, I have there on the right side there the screenshot from the Hasbro designer Mark, his desktop. So that's what the alt mode is kind of going to look like because we kind of have an image of it. So that'll give us a bit of an idea. And of course, like it also mentions that it's going to have a shattered glass rewind. Now, rewind in the shattered glass universe looked like so on the bottom there. Now, if you're wondering what is that color scheme that rewind is homaging there, on the bottom right is the unreleased G2 GoBots. They called it GoBots. They used as the spy changers later, but the G2 GoBots Rumble, which had a very unique kind of color scheme, and it had Vinnies on the side of it too. So when they did the Shattered Glass rewind, they gave it that kind of color scheme because a good guy Rumble would be Rewind, I guess. And Rewind a Shattered Glass would be a G2 Rumble, I guess. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Jesse Witherich probably had something to do with the color scheme here. But the point is that that's probably what the Shattered Glass Rewind's going to look like. If you had to get kind of an idea of what it potentially could look like, historically, this is what it could potentially look like. And it's an homage to an unreleased G2 figure of Rumble, of all things. It's a little bit of a deep cut, but that's kind of what's going on here to give you a bit of an idea. Maybe when we get Twincast at some point, maybe they'll give us Rosanna or Flip Sides or some kind of other paint scheme that maybe people would be more excited about. But that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it for that. And of course, also there was also a showing of the Transformers Leader Class Blitzwing, and you get to see the big meat fists on the top of the tank mode there, which look very weird. What a bizarre figure, eh? What a bizarre figure. What a bizarre figure. And that's more or less it. That's more or less it for the news. I mean, I get a feeling we're gonna learn a lot more on Tuesday, and then throughout the week it's gonna be crazy for us. Like, we're gonna have a lot to cover when we get to that. Another thing I also want to mention is, if you haven't checked it out, episode 2 of the Transformers Armada behind the scenes episode is live. Check it out on the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer, which is a separate channel that I do with Hasbro's Aaron Archer, where we talk about the past of both Kenner and Hasbro toy lines, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be Jurassic Park, or a Batman. And we just did episode 2 of our 2-parter of Transformers Armada, and now we dive into the really good stuff, the creation of Unicron, the explanation of how toy branding works, how the Unicron even came to be. Even if you're not a fan of Transformers Armada, we cover so much stuff that's just in terms of general Transformer stuff. How did that Unicron come to be? What happened to the Beast Wars Neo Unicron mold? Like, all this kind of cool stuff. Be sure to check out that segment when you get a chance. It's almost 2 hours. It's a visual segment. We post a whole bunch of behind-the-scene images of the creation of these characters. It's a really good one. Be sure to check that out. The Toy Armada with Aaron Archer, Part 2. Part 2, part dose. Check it out. I think it's episode 5 that we've done up to this point. They're all long form segments. We got a super chat from Aiden Tolbert. And Aiden Tolbert wants to know, Tornatron and Circuit Breaker need to come back. Well, Circuit Breaker might be one of the tougher ones because I'm pretty sure Marvel might have the license. It's kind of like Death's Head, you know, where it's like I think Marvel might have that kind of tied up, unfortunately. Tornatron, though, I think that one they could do something with it. Maybe that's the Energon monster. Maybe that's the Energon monster. Could be a Tornatron kind of thing. Andy Davis, howdy y'all, with all the little Transformer Slag little icons. That's pretty awesome. So, but yeah, check it out, guys. Again, the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. If you haven't subscribed yet, go subscribe. Let's hit 1,000 on that channel. Let's hit 1,000 subs so we can do some crazy stuff on that one. And of course, let's talk about our sponsor. Let's talk about Symbiote Studios, bringing us the plush, the pins, and the t-shirts. He has a whole bunch new pins. I got the brand new Cat Bravo Transformer Collaborative. There it is right there. And the t-shirt too. This will be on the website. Both of them and the pins, those will be available, I believe, tomorrow. So be sure to check it out at symbiotestudios.com. The link is in the description below. But if you don't want those, check out all the other pins. Brand new pin sets are out. The Unicron stuff, the big plushes, all the crazy stuff. All the other Hasbro brand stuff too. Whether it be G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, My Little Pony, or Magic the Gathering. Buy a whole bunch of Magic the Gathering pins and decide what your casting cost is. I still like to believe that I'm two blue and one colorless. I'm a prodigal sorcerer. I think they're two blue and one colorless. I know they're 3 to tap. Anyways, my old Magic days. And of course, there still is more to come. So be sure to stick around in the future for Wave 4 of the Transformer official plush line coming down the pipes. You got version 2 Soundwave that's now out at the beginning of the year. We got the Catnip Convoy, or the Catnip Bravo Optimus Prime, that is now out to go pick that one up from the collaborative effort. And of course, most importantly, 4 other guys. I don't know. I can't tell who they are. It's clearly DevCon, Slipstream. That other one there, that's got to be Transmutate, and that last one, it's got to be Slash from the Ninja Turtles. Perhaps. But be sure to check those out again, symbiotestudios.com. Let's see. Springus Prime says, hey, Proto, when do you think we will see some other mini-bots in a new line? I'm not expecting Brawn for a bit, but because of Studio Series Brawn. Well, don't let stuff existing in one line be an indication that we won't get one in another. I mean, let's put it this way. You know, having a Soundwave in that Studio Series Bumblebee subsection isn't going to stop us from getting Soundwave in any other capacity or form. It's just more they just look for kind of the opportunities. I think that, you know, when you look at your mini bots, right, they're going to be deluxe classes. That's kind of the thing that we're seeing in the future now. So if they're going to be deluxes, it's do they have slots for that? We always get 4 deluxes every wave. Is there an opening to put that deluxe? You know, sometimes that's the reason why we get those pack-ins now. Like we get, you know, here's RC from a previous series, or here's Wheeljack from a previous series. Because sometimes they go, oh man, we need to have 4 deluxes in a wave, and we don't have 4 deluxes engineered because, you know, the Big V kind of screwed up things and pushed everything back. So they kind of, you know, they had to fill things in. But now it's like, you know, if the openings are there, if the opportunities present themselves, I'm pretty sure, and look, I love Brawn. Brawn, and of the mini bots, like it's like Brawn, Outback, and Cliff Jumper. Those are like my boys. I love those guys. And I'd love to have another Brawn. I'd love to have another Brawn figure. I love the last Brawn that we got. That the Titans Return one was fantastic. I loved it. It almost even kind of scaled with the Masterpiece Bumblebee at one point. Like the first Masterpiece Bumblebee. Like it was a really good figure. So if they could give us a deluxe that's like just as good, you know, now you have even more budget, sign me up. I'd love it. I'd love another Brawn. I think we'll get one at some point, but I mean, we kind of know right now everything that's going to be 2022 And and I mean, look, short of it being a repaint out of like left field, which I hope it isn't, because I'd like a brand new mold for Braun. I wouldn't want him to just be like, they retool, skids or something. I'd hate that. I would hate that. I want Braun to be his own thing. Have interchangeable masks or something, so he could have his battle mask and his regular face. Maybe have two different kinds of hands. He could have his hook hands and then his regular hands. I don't know, and maybe a drill weapon. That'd be cool. Like, I just want a really good Braun figure. That'd be really hype. I mean, look, we got Huffer, we got Bumblebee, and everything related to Huffer. Every, Pipes in the crew. We got Bumblebee in the crew as a result of it. I want more. And look, now supposedly we have Cosmos is in the Pipes, is going to be coming also, no pun intended. So we'll see what happens, but I'd love to see a Braun. I would love it for sure. What do we got here? Princeton Phalanx 59 says Dairy Con was really fun today. Man, I am jealous. I want to go to Dairy Con. I'd love to go to Dairy Con. I would love to go. That's like on the bucket list of Transformer conventions I want to go to. Like, to me, I always felt like back in the day when BotCon was still a major thing, the Holy Trinity to me was always like, you do Dairy Con, you do TF Con, and you do BotCon. Like, those would be the three. So it'd be really hyped to do a Dairy. One day in the future, me and Aaron Archer will come down and we'll make it the best Dairy Con ever. I hope. Stinkfist69, what's up, Proto? What's your thoughts on WrestleMania? I was a little disappointed with the second night. Loved the first night. You know what? I wasn't feeling it too much. I watched it, and then I started, tuning out a lot. It's like I had it on, and I was, playing it in the background, and then I just started, playing on my Nintendo Switch handheld, because I was just kind of ugh, I mean, I've always said that whenever Vince McMahon has to lean on celebrities on the outside of wrestling in order for people to get excited about WrestleMania, I think you miss the point. And I don't want to make it too much about wrestling, because I know we don't have a lot of wrestling fans here. But I've always felt that when you're trying to get over your product, you got to use what's within your product to make it get over. Because here's a spoiler, Logan Paul is not going to be there tomorrow, That's something people got to understand, stuff like that. And if people get excited about that, and that's not the product on Monday and Tuesday and the week after that, you're not building a brand. You're not. I'm not going to get too much deep into it, but I mean, I have a certain philosophy when it comes to the success of wrestling. And when you think about those eras that were really successful, they didn't sit on those guys for 10 years hoping for them to work. Like when Steve Austin and The Rock became huge, they were not in the company for 10 years trying to get over. But they're still trying. Everyone who was in the main event was in that company 10 years ago and nobody cared, So that it's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it, but it's kind of brain dead in a lot of ways. It is what it is, like I always say. Let's see. Princeton Phalanx 59 says, yeah, it would be cool to have you here and get to meet both of you. Man, I've always said, whoever runs Dairy Con, if they want to contact me, what we would do, no joke, me and Aaron would come down, we would bring prototypes of stuff between Beast Wars and movie stuff, just everything in that bubble. We'd bring prototypes. You could have that on display, just make sure it doesn't get stolen. We'd have all of that stuff on display. We'd do panels. We'd do all kinds of meet and greets and everything. We'd give you a crazy show, give you a whole bunch of content that would make it really fun. All we ask is flight and hotel. That's it. That's all we need. And I mean, if you know how to manage your budget and do some tax write-offs of, on your 1099 and self-employed. I mean, I don't want to get too much into it, but you could kind of write off our flights if you know how to do it. I know a certain convention that knows how to do that with all of his guests, so I'm just saying, work out something with the hotel. There's little tricks to running shows successfully. But I would love to go to a Dairy Con whenever the time permits and whenever the opportunity presents itself. I would love to go. David Cabal, what's up, Proto Man and Proto Fam? What's up, David? Nice to see you in the chat, man. Nice to see you in the chat. Stinkfist69, Logan Paul looked good that night. No, look, I'm not saying that he didn't wrestle good. My problem is everyone got excited about something that is not going to be there tomorrow. That's not, to me, I feel WrestleMania is something that, because it's so big, it's kind of like football, like with the Super Bowl. A lot of people don't watch football, but they might watch the Super Bowl. And when you get eyeballs on something that normally are not your average audience, that's the time to go, hey, we have those eyeballs, let's try to win them over so they can become fans for life. But if you get them excited about something that you can't deliver tomorrow and the day after that and the week after that, you're going to lose them. You need for them to be excited about what the product is that night. That way when tomorrow, that product is there tomorrow. You know, referring to like Monday Night Raw and then, of course, SmackDown and everything like that. But that's not the case. You can't do that. You can't. And too many times, it's again, I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself, but it is so weird to see a wrestling organization that has spent 10 years trying to figure out the same core group of guys. It's not like Vince McMahon tried Lex Luger. It didn't work. Bye-bye. Vince tries Diesel. It didn't work. Bye-bye. If it was today, Vince would try Lex Luger and then spend 10 years pushing him on you, trying. Oh, you don't like Diesel? Well, I'm going to try for another 5 years. That's the problem. Back in the day, it's like they didn't have time. Oh, you're not working? All right. Okay, let's find someone else. Oh, this guy. Now they're just trying too much. And it's just, it's sad. It's sad. It's cringy that, it's to the point where the wrestlers come out and it's just it's like zombies. It's like zombie wrestling. They're just coming out, dead man walking. No pun intended on The Undertaker, but dead man walking, literally just to go out and then hope, oh, today's the day that people might like me. I've tried for 9 years straight and they still haven't, cheered, even though we pushed them down our throat, I have a very specific philosophy on wrestling, and seeing what has worked from Hulkamania up to the Attitude Era and then the decline that came from that. And at the end of the day, it all starts at the top. And the big man, he needs to get with it. Springus Prime, Proto, who do you think is our next combiner? And I hope Computron, because the last release was the hardest to get. Let's look at trademarks. It's definitely not going to be Devastator. Could be the aerial bots, could be Computron, could be Defensor. It could be any of the bunch. I mean, the way that I see it is whoever it's going to be, those other guys that it's not are going to show up in some shape or form of trademark in another iteration. Like if we get hypothetical, we get Computron as the next combiner. Right? For, Legacy 2.0 in 2024 or 2023. Then we're going to see Defensor and the Protectobots and all of their individual trademarks across other stuff. We're going to have First Aid over here in Transformers AllSpark. We're going to have Hotspot as a Rescue Bot toy. We're going to have, they're going to throw the other ones all over the place just to keep those alive. And it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have another combiner. It just means that that's how they're going to keep the wheels on the car, so to speak, for some of those registered IPs. But I think it could be. To me, it's like if I had to take a guess, I'm going to say probably either the aerial bots or Defensor. And the only reason why I say the aerial bots is because I think that they're trying to test with Menasor if they could pull off doing a combiner of 4 cars, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's 4 cars. It's a Porsche, it's a Tyrrell Formula 1 6-wheel, it's a Lamborghini, and it's a Ferrari. 4 cars. If they could pull off having 4 cars and people buy them, then let's see if they could pull off 4 jets. They're different amongst each other, but at the end of the day, they're 4 jets, and then a big, Boeing kind of jet. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But, that's the way I see it. I mean, the more diverse ones are obviously Bruticus and Defensor. They actually have the more diverse teams that have different stuff. But at the same time, it's not hard to find somewhere to put Swindle as a trademark, or Brawl, or, you know, like same thing on the other side. Like, it's easy to put First Aid somewhere. It's easy to put Groove somewhere because you have a motorcycle mold now. You have two of them actually, because you also have Rekgar. So it's like you have Rekgar, and then you have Iguanus. So like there's a lot of places you could stick that Groove mold if you need to. If you need to buy yourself some time, just do a shallow Walgreens exclusive repaint. Oh, here's Groove, sure. You know. Cringe McCringo, good evening, Proto. What is the one figure that you want but haven't gotten yet? I would like to, it probably won't happen anytime soon, but I would like to have a modernized version of Road King from Master Force, who was known as Slapdash, the Power Master. But I'd like it done in Road King colors. I'm looking at his manga cover there from Japan, from Master Force. I'd like Road King. I'd like to have a cool Road King kind of updates. The closest we ever got to that, and it still wasn't Road King, was we got a Power Core combiner named Leadfoot, who kind of was like him a little bit. That's probably the closest we got, and it had kind of like a Power Master gimmick because of the Power Core gimmick. Aside from that, it's again, my two favorite characters that are not Hot Rod or like Beast Wars people is always going to be Nitro Convoy and Road King. And those are also two figures that, I mean, we're getting an Override, supposedly, so that's the female version of Nitro Convoy. So depending on how that turns out, maybe I'll get what I wanted. But Nitro Convoy has the gold face. Override has the orange face. So if it's an orange face, it's Override. It's a female version. You know, I always say the Japanese dubs of Unicron Trilogy are the true canon. So in my opinion, Override is a Generation 1 character. It's not a female character from Cybertron. Kind of a different, that's my take on it. It's always been my take. Watch the Japanese version. It's the superior version. We got a super chat from Detective Ferret with 5 bones. Detective Ferret wants to know, looking at Menasor, looking at like Hasbro is copying Extron's bots Menasor. I think, you know what? I know a lot of people are saying how there's a lot of similarities, but the reality is I wouldn't be surprised if it's the other way around. I wouldn't be surprised if the R&D and development was happening and all that stuff was sent to the factories ridiculously early, all the CAD models, everything like that, and then that stuff falls in the hands of the third-party guys who are in those regions. You know, that's where, like, we used to always say that one way to know if Hasbro is making something is to look what third-party companies are putting a lot of. It's like, wait a minute, how come every third-party company is doing a whole bunch of Masterpiece RCs? There's all these different RCs, Azalea, da-da-da-da-da, and then a Masterpiece RC happens from Takara. So you see that a lot because they know what's happening, because a lot of those factories that make the third-party stuff, especially in the pre-2014 era when it was all still in China, a lot of those same factories that were making the Hasbro stuff would turn around and also make the third-party stuff. Because keep in mind, it's not Hasbro's factory. Like, that's the thing that people tend to forget. Hasbro licenses a company under contractual trademark and everything, Jetta Plastics or whoever it was in China back in the day, and go, hey, we need you to make our product. And that's it. And then that same company tomorrow is making McDonald's toys, and then is doing a contract for Mattel, and then is doing this and da. You know, so, there's an old saying in the Transformer community, it's called a lunchtime special, which is when you see Transformer toys that are done in weird colors, like you'll see, like, let's say it's this Rhinox figure, but like it's done in like pinks and purples. It means that one of the factory workers during their lunch break went to the machine and then fed the machine with a whole bunch of weird plastic colors and then ended up with the weird plastic colors of those characters. I have a few of those in my video game collection because there's a lot of lunchtime specials of those. You could Google that. It's a weird term, but it applies to a lot of different toy lines. But I firmly believe that, and also it's coincidence, like if you're making like a G1 Prowl, right? even if you thought it up, it's probably going to be the same as a third-party company in Hasbro. You know, there's certain ideas that are pretty obvious from the get-go. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, look, like here, I brought him out, but I mean, this was the last like major Menasor figure we got, or not Menasor, but Motormaster. And I mean, they were going for something kind of different, you know, like they were, because this was clearly to have baked into it all the repaints. Well, it's going to be an Optimus. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. You know, we're going to have that combiner gimmick on the back. So we're going to have like that, all these different characters that we could superimpose on it. Toxitron, when they did it with the Transformer Collector Club and everything like that. So, you know, now we have something that is probably not going to have that expectation of repaints and retools. So it's going to be something that's slavishly loyal to the core product and the animation model, much like what third-party companies do, is they just do something that's slavishly loyal because they don't think about, oh, we're going to do repaints and retools later. If they do repaints and retools later, they'll force a color scheme into it. They'll call it Batman Menasor, and they'll make it a TFCon exclusive or something. Or they'll call it, you know, what do you do with a giant Menasor that's like this big? You know, you call it the Mammoth Tank from Speed Racer or something. Look that up if you don't know what I'm talking about. It was this giant truck that Speed Racer raced against. I think it was in the Speed Racer movie too. They also had a scene with it, with Crusher Block. But yeah, that's kind of my take on that. Where are we at here? Stinkfist69, Proto, help me push Late Crate, because Loot Crate hasn't shipped anything out or emailed anything about when we'll be getting our crates. Well, guys, you know, I did a segment about Loot Crate, and I've never been a fan of them. So I am not surprised that they're screwing up. Loot Crate was a very predatory kind of system that worked kind of in a way to make sure that it always got your money. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get in trouble, but they're not a cool bunch of people. Let's put it this way. Don't give your money to Loot Crate. Springus Prime, can he just get a HasLab Road Caesar? Oh, I wish. Road Caesar is probably tied with Defensor, probably my favorite combiner team of all time. I love Road Caesar because growing up in high school, when I first learned about Transformers Victory, and this is like 1996, I want to say. Yeah, like 96. I got my very first copies of Transformers Victory on VHS. No subtitles, grainy EP format, like 8 episodes on a tape, terrible audio quality. And I thought Road Caesar, Blacker, Laster, and Braver were the coolest Transformers ever. The Brainmaster gimmick. I loved Braver. Oh man, you can't even see them. They're a little bit. You could see them. They're over there. And then, of course, you have their European counterparts. You have this piece of wood here that kind of covers it. But I love them. I would love to see more of them. The last time we got anything decent of them officially was we got those Kabaya kits a while back. And I remember I was all over those. I got those Kabaya kits. And then they did that third-party release, which I didn't get it, but my friend John got it. And when he opened it up in the hotel room, I was like, ooh, am I going to go third party? I don't know. I do not know, man. I do not know. Again, third party to me, I respect the engineering. I respect the design. I love the hustle. I love the fact that they give you stuff that probably would not normally exist. But it's also something that I feel sooner or later, most of that stuff will happen. And for me to spend an exuberant amount of money on a product that I'll probably get later in an official capacity, I mean, the amount of people that must have spent thousands of dollars on their versions of Devastator throughout the years. And then I just got, Combiner Wars, and I'm happy with that, So that's kind of the way that I approach third party. I don't hate third party. I love what they do. But I'm also kind of, I'm cheering for the team, but that doesn't mean I want to play for them. You know what I mean? Andy Davis, learned my lesson from the last TMNT box. Never again. Yeah, I guess, well, let me just tell you, okay? I'll give you one example. They did a Transformer box. I forget which one it was. The theme was transforming. It came with a Omega Supreme card or something. It came with a Hulk thingamabobby, like all junk, really. And they tell you, like, do you want just the one box or do you want a subscription? I went, no, I just want the one box. What they don't tell you is after you get that box, you have to then go on the website and in this fine print on the bottom, unsubscribe. Otherwise, they keep sending you boxes. And they kept sending me boxes. And I kept having to pay for their stupid boxes. I have all kinds of t-shirts I'm never going to wear. All kinds of tchotchkes that I might as well throw out. It's the way, if you knew how they functioned and the profit margins and the stupidity of it and their dealings with Funko and their predatory natures and the fact that they know how they look at geek culture as a cult and how they kind of apply their money making to that, I don't ever want to mess with those guys. They're never. Springus Prime, good luck. That TFC set just sold for $850 on eBay last week on auction. I'm not going to be buying it anyways. I feel that one day we're going to get a proper Road Caesar when all of those characters have been expunged and they need to move up to more of those victory characters. I'll pick it up, yo. How much would it be if Hasbro did it, right? Worst case scenario. $150, $200, you know? I'd rather wait. I own the original. I'm happy with the original for now and the Kabaya kit. Even if the original can be a little touchy-feely when it comes to fragility sometimes. But yeah. It is what it is, you know? But it's like, to me again, I like third party. I've worked with them in the past on a lot of different third-party stuff. My entire third-party collection is practically almost exclusively stuff that I've worked on in some shape or form. That's usually how I end up with it. But, you know, at the same time, it's really got to be something special for me to go, ooh, okay, I'm going to get that. It's got to be something that, like, you know, no way in hell are we getting Super Mario Transformers, you know? Which technically they do exist, though, but that's a whole other story. The watch that I have here. But they're all bootlegs. Stinkfist69, NECA owns Loot Crate, so it should be NECA to blame. Well, not necessarily. Like, you have to understand it's also the way that it's structured. NECA might own it, but it's the company that's set up for Loot Crate and the people that are behind distribution. I mean, if NECA is one of the items in the box, and that NECA item is the cause of the delays, then yeah, you could blame NECA. But otherwise, you have to know the whole story with that, because a lot of times it's kind of like, you know, if Wizards of the Coast is doing something stupid, you can't actually blame Hasbro, because Hasbro just kind of hovers over them and they have their own distribution and how they do things. You got to kind of like go down the food chain a little bit before you find out who's really to blame with that kind of stuff. You can't just go to the top, because sometimes the top has no idea what's even going on. You know? They have to be told by the top. If anything, you should complain to NECA, because NECA's the ones in charge, and then they're the ones that could possibly, like, you know, take the fork and, you know, stick them and go, hey, what the hell's going on? Springus Prime wants to know, I was hoping you weren't talking about me as a bot. No. I am not. Don't worry about that. But again, the last third-party item I think I bought, and I mean bought, because I get stuff for free that I worked on, but that I bought, I think it was the TFCon exclusive RC, and the only reason I bought that was for the box, because the box on the back and the front is an homage to Masamu Shiro from Ghost in the Shell, and the colors of the RC is the prototype colors of the original RC toy from back in the day. So it kind of spoke to me on two levels, because I was like, ooh, is Takara gonna ever do the prototype colors on RC ever? Like, would they ever do that? And then that box, like, I practically bought it for the box, and then the box was awesome too. It's kind of like that one year where TFCon had that exclusive. It was Sphinx, but it was done with the sarcophagus. Like, I had nothing to do with that one, so I wanted to buy that because it was just, the box was cool. Sometimes it's a box that wins me over more than the figure, you know? And it's that kind of deep cut kind of stuff that I know, again, Hasbro would never do a crossover with Ghost in the Shell, you know? So, like, that kind of stuff I really dig. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Where are we at here? Stinkfist69 says, Kenner was the original company design. What are we talking about here? Is this from another convo that I missed or something? But yeah, it's to me, it's like, the way I see it is, I understand why some people get third party, because they achieve an aesthetic that is pleasing to them, and there's a monetary connection to that, where they go, well, I'm willing to pay X if you could make this character look good. Where me, it's more, I'm willing to get these characters when it makes sense. You know, like, it's like, I can't imagine all the people that have spent so much money trying to get that best version of characters, and it's like, I'm going to get this cliff jumper, you know, Helion, and this one, and that one, and this one, and that one, and this one. And then there's this official Hasbro one, and then this new Hasbro one, and then there's this one, and that one. Oh, now we have a masterpiece coming that we still don't have any official information on. Isn't that crazy? We still have no official information on that masterpiece cliff jumper that we've been talking about months ago. Isn't that nuts? But it's just like, you know, to me, like, it's kind of crazy that whole journey, and the amount of money that sometimes gets spent in that journey, to me, is a waste of money. I stand by the belief that you should always wait, and the opportunities will create themselves. Yeah, there is going to be chances sometimes where waiting doesn't pay off because, oh, wow, the product all of a sudden jumps up in value and it becomes crazy or something. But that usually is only like 5% of the time. You know, the amount of times that you saved money waiting makes you get this pile of money that then you could throw at the one thing that waiting didn't pay off. Because then it's like, oh, yeah, well, now that I didn't wait, this figure that was used to be $50 is now $300. Yeah, but you saved $1,000, you know, waiting on all the other things. So kind of worked out in the end, in a lot of ways. Kind of worked out in the end. I learned that from, you know, many years ago from Transformers Energon, where, you know, I bought everything brand new, 100% brand new. And I didn't wait. And all of that stuff brand new just was brutal. It was absolutely brutal, because then finding it super cheap later on, crazy. Absolutely crazy. We got a super chat from John Mayer for $5. John Mayer wants to know, of the finished and or unfinished G2 items and gimmicks, what would you like to see revisited, since we know revisiting is where they're at now? I'm kind of with Jaws D on this one. If we're getting Road Rocket from the G2 laser cycles, I want to see the G2 laser cycle white and hot green laser cycle jazz that we never got. I want to see stuff like that, of the weird G2 stuff. There's a lot of weird G2 stuff. I mean, like you mentioned, we got Sandstorm was one of them that we got. There was what do you call it? All of those all those GoBots that didn't happen. There was the weird color schemes for what was it called? Their Archhead, and oh my god, what was the name of the other one? There was like these two weird color schemes for the Hero Optimus and the Hero Megatron. Like, there was a lot of weird stuff. And then, of course, you know, ATB Megatron and ATB Starscream, which we ended up kind of getting in Beast Wars 2nd. So I guess we did kind of get those in the end. The auto rollers in the original colors, you know. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff. G2 crashed and burned in 1995, man. It just, you know, like all those cyber jets, they were supposed to have big weapons and stuff with them, and none of that ended up happening, and we ended up just getting the little yellow missile, and that's it. Like, there was a lot of cool stuff, but I'm going to go with that G2 Laser Cycle Jazz, and I think it will happen because we have Road Rocket happening, and Road Rocket was what G2 Laser Cycle Jazz was based on. It was just a straight up repaint of Road Rocket with like white and green, you know. So I could totally see that. That could be like a Generation Selects, you know. They could just do a Generation Selects of it, and then I could just see Mark or Evan just going like, this was an idea that was supposed to happen back in 1995, but then Beast Wars came a knocking with his beard or his mustache, whatever he'll be rocking. Yeah. Like, I could just see them like they could show that, and it's a good way to get the Jazz trademark back out there again. Because I don't know, when was the last time we saw that one? I don't even know when was the last time we saw the Jazz trademark, but you know, they could put out that Jazz trademark, and they could. And again, I'm not saying tomorrow. I'm saying 2 years from now when it's probably going to expire and they need to do it again. It'll work. It'll work. That's one. That's one for sure. Let me think of another one. What was another interesting one? I mean, there's a lot. Like G2 had just a lot of weird. There was like the Dinobots. They were done in very weird colors. Like there was the traditional G2 colors, but then there was a lot of weird colors. I like to call it the watermelon mirage. So like you could take Mirage and give him that hot green and pink on him. I call it the anyone remembers it back in the day, the old bubble gum. It was called Bubble Yum. So Bubble Yum, Watermelon Mirage. That's a weird one. You know, so I'm pretty sure we could get something out of that. Studio Series 86 Jazz, and so that was Studio Series 86 Jazz was last year. So, you know, yeah, you know, you do it in 2 years, and that's it. You do it in 2 years, and then you're good. Give yourself a new Jazz figure, and you don't have to retread the traditional Jazz design because you already did a really good Studio Series one. And unless you're putting Jazz in another TV series or you're putting Jazz in a movie toy, but they already did a Studio Series Jazz in the movie stuff. There's your next Jazz. Watch for it. Watch for it. There's your next Jazz that makes sense where they don't have to repeat the same thing over and over. You know, sometimes you just gotta figure it out. You know, it just makes sense. But you know, that Mirage would be cool. I know there was a TFCon exclusive that did those colors one year. I forget which year it was. It didn't sell out, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping it would because it was so wacky. I would hope people would like it, and then they'd do more stuff like that. I forget which. I think it was Mastermind that did it, and that was when they were like in their big G2 phase, where they did a G2 Inferno, a G2 Starscream, and they did the G2 Mirage. Really popular. Some of those at least. Who knows what the exclusives are going to be in July for a third party, but time will tell. Time will tell. I don't know. I'm still like if I'm going or not, you know, because last we talked, you know, everything was okay, and then oh no, Toronto's having problems with the Big V because there's no more mask, and I'm like, great. Probably going to be a lockdown or something or some craziness, and we'll see what happens. It never ends. It never ends. This crazy world we live in. It really, really never ends. I just hope it all works out in the end. That way we could go back to doing cons. That way we could go back to hanging out. That way we could go back to doing all kinds of crazy stuff and not have to worry about any of this. You know, like to me, like I love doing my parts party. Anyone who's been to TF Cons in Toronto, I do my I take my hotel room and I turn it into a giant store that day. And I do all kinds of like cool parts party kind of stuff. And that room is packed. Packed. That would not be good during something like the Big V. That would be totally against, excuse me, everything I stand for with what's going on with the Big V, to have a absolutely packed hotel room for a parts party. So I do not know what's going to be happening. Let's put it this way. Detective Ferret with the super chat. I don't know why the super chat notification thing isn't working. Let me test it for one moment. How do I test super chat? Is it not working? Very weird. My super chat thing is not working. Anyways, I'll have to go check it out after. Detective Ferret with the super chat for $5. Was there even plans for a sequel for Transformers 96 movie? I think you mean 86. There was an unofficial sequel. If you pick up the VHS for Return of Optimus Prime Part 1 and 2, on the back of it, it says the sequel to the story of the 1986 to the Transformers the movie. And that's because FHC, I don't have that VHS here, unfortunately. I have it upstairs, but I had it over there for the longest time. But that VHS technically was the sequel. The closest thing that we had to another Transformer movie, I even have the program. Let's pull it up here. This was the triple feature 1999. When you go to Japan, they give you programs when you go see movies, and so it was a triple feature, and it was Beast Wars 2nd, Beast Wars Metals movie, some kind of magical girl anime that I'm unfamiliar with, and then Microman. Triple feature. And I don't know what the... Look at all the merch. Look at all the merch. Oh, look at that. Power do Comboy. That's what Optimal Optimus was called. Power do Comboy. And then they give you the lyrics so you could sing along. But yeah, that the closest we had to a sequel, the last time we had a Transformer movie at that point was the Beast Wars movies in Japan. And then for us, of course, Michael Bay. Horned Owl, 10 months. Looking forward to the new Protectobots and Combaticons. Well, that's assuming that we get them anytime soon. Who knows when we will. You know, that's the problem, is that the way I see it is, think how long it's going to take us until we even get to the end of Legacy, that then they could start announcing the next Commander class. You know, it could take a while. It could take a while. Joseph Ritter with the $5 super chat. Protoman Hotel Party SDCC edition. Yeah, I can't bring anything over the border, though. What is the biggest toy brand right now? Transformers, Fortnite, Pokemon, something else? Well, I would be careful with that, though, because something like Fortnite could disappear tomorrow. I would say Pokemon, though, of the three. Pokemon is the one that consistently is always hitting those numbers. Every single year is always hitting those numbers. I mean, I think Pokemon was always sitting at the top, being a best-selling product with that demographic since its inception in the Western market in 98. I think it maybe slowed down a little bit in like 99, 2000 when Digimon came on the scene and distracted people for a second. And I love Digimon, don't get me wrong. I was a big OG Digimon fan when it was on the Fox Kids network. But I really think that Pokemon is the biggest thing ever. You know, like if Pokemon is so powerful as a brand that people buy Pokemon cards, the trading cards, the TCG, and they don't even play the game. They just buy them to collect them. That's how powerful it is as a brand, where people just buy stuff just to collect it, not so much even because they actually engage with it. And every time there's a Pokemon game that comes out, it always does gangbusters. Pokemon Go was a cultural phenomenon. A cultural phenomenon. It made people go walking. It made people who didn't care about Pokemon going out. Transformers did that in a mild extent. Fortnite is going to be a flash. Fortnite's something that, people are going to talk about it, and then they're not going to talk about it. Then it's going to be something else. Then it'll be, Among Us. Then it'll be this. Then it'll be that. You can't put all your eggs in one basket with stuff like Fortnite, because that's a tide that always like comes in, it floods, it gets the attention, and then it regresses and you never see it again. And it just leaves all the garbage behind that it pretty much flooded in. And unfortunately, in the case of Fortnite, the garbage is going to be all those Fortnite figures that are going to be on clearance one day in Target, Walmart, and Toys R Us's collector section. Pokemon, 100%. I was there at its birth, and I saw it grow. Mike Rosen, who's a 5-month member now, thank you, Mike Rosen. Will Hasbro show any new stuff this Tuesday? I sure as hell hope so. If they do their Transformer, Fan First Tuesday, Transformer Tuesday, and they don't show us any new stuff outside of that Robosen stupidity that no one cares about, like who's going to be buying like that thing? Okay, it's probably going to be Bumblebee, but outside of that, oh my God, if they don't show anything, they're hopeless. They're hopeless from a marketing standpoint. They're absolutely hopeless if they don't show anything. They have to, though. They have to. There's going to be new legacy stuff. They did a little hashtag. They were like, oh, hey, be sure to come Transformers, Transformers Tuesday, whatever, blah, 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 April. And then they're like, hashtag legacy. So they got to show new legacy stuff. Is it going to be stuff that we don't already know because of the stolen stuff from the factories from certain individuals? That's to be said. If they like, oh, here's Blitzwing, and we go, oh, okay. And they go, here's this, and it's like, oh, okay, we know about that too. But we'll see what happens. We got a super chat from Trevor Stasic for 5 bones. Trevor wants to know, hi, Proto, thanks for all you do. Thank you. Call me crazy. Do I have to call you crazy? Okay, I'll call you crazy. But I'd love to see Shattered Glass bots. I've never thought of that. Give me a SG Spud Muffin. Any bots you want as Shattered Glass. Now I'm looking at my bots display. Okay. That's you gotta then go the obvious Shattered Glass Burgertron. So it's gotta be like, the Shattered Glass colors of Shattered Glass Optimus Prime, and now it's a Burgertron. So it's like a purple and green kind of burger that's gone bad because it's been sitting behind the fryer. It fell behind there. And I guess Spud Muffin, he won't be like a dick, so he'll be more of like a nice guy. But what would be the colors on a Shattered Glass Spud Muffin? Because he's already the traditional French fry kind of packaging, very, I guess, Five Guys or, White Castle kind of like packaging. I don't know. I never thought about Shattered Glass bots. What about my girl, Lady Macaron? How would she be Shattered Glass? So she'd have to be the opposite of an Ojo-sama classy girl. Maybe like emo, like punk rock. Now the bonnet is down and it's like in front of one of her eyes. And she doesn't care about nothing because nothing matters. And she really likes listening to Nirvana. I don't know. I never thought about that. But again, let me think of one more. Who'd be good? You could have Frostferatu, and now he's going to be like one of those Twilight vampires, where now he sparkles in the sunlight instead of a traditional vampire. That's more 1950s. What's his name? That's a tough one. Ooh, geez. Who else would Man. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Think of some really cool color schemes and stuff that we could do. Princeton Phalanx 59 with the super chat for 5 bones. Do you think we are in a golden age of Transformers with the likes of War for Cybertron, Legacy, and Third Party? I think the golden age that we hit was in 2009, 2010, when Revenge of the Fallen had just come out and we didn't have iPhones yet and kids still cared about toys. I always say 2007 was when Transformers 2007, the movie, came out, Big Bang Theory came out, and the iPhone debuted. But the iPhone was still a new expensive product. It couldn't multitask. It Just wasn't there yet. By the time we reached 2009, 2010, Transformers was a phenomenon again. Everyone loved Transformers. Kids were buying toys. You know, Transformers Prime was on the horizon, and Transformers Animated was killing it. Toy sales were amazing. Revenge of the Fallen, regardless if you like the movie or not, made zillions of dollars. That was a golden age, where after 2010 and Amiibo and Toys for Life and Toys to Life and Skylanders came out, the focus shifted. And then they started looking at that. Dark of the Moon sales went, Dark of the Moon did not do well. And then after Dark of the Moon not doing well, all of a sudden kids started looking at this. And this put an end to everything. It really did. So I think we're not in a golden age right now. I think we're doing fine, but I don't think we're in a golden age. I think that, like, if you had to look at a chart, like, here's like Unicron trilogy at the end, and then like, Cybertron, it was kind of dipping, and then, oh, here comes the Michael Bay movie. Oh man, here's Revenge of the Fallen. Oh, whoa. Like, it's really up there. And then Dark of the Moon, and then it started coming back down again. Right now, I find that we're better off now than where we were, let's say, before the first movie, like Cybertron. Like, Cybertron was kind of declining. We're better off than where we were with Cybertron, but we're not that far off from it. I think that we're reaching that point where we're back at where 2006 was, with the tail end of Transformers Cybertron and the Classics line just on the horizon, and Titaniums and stuff like that. I think we're reaching that area again. We're not in, 1992, which was the worst year in Transformer history. We're not in 2000, where Beast Machines almost practically killed the line in the Western market for retailers. We're still doing great. We're still doing great, but we're not at those crazy heights that we were before. That's for sure. And I wouldn't count third party as part of the golden age. Third party is a separate entity that's making their own money, and their success is totally reliant on the success of the Transformer brand. If nobody likes Transformers and is excited about Transformers, third party can't survive. Third party isn't steering the wheel for the success of Transformers. It's the other way around. And again, no offense to third party. Horned Owl, wants to know, I'm hoping for some news on the TFRPG April 12th. That's if Renegade talks about it. I don't think Renegade is going to be part of that, to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but I didn't hear anything of it from the inside, because I work with them with the marketing and stuff, and I didn't hear anything. Princeton Phalanx 59, just buy the toys alone, the designs and engineering. Oh, well, look, in my opinion, the toys are great. They're great. They're fantastic. They're as great as they've ever been. But who knows what tomorrow brings? Tomorrow might even be better than yesterday. So you can't deny how great engineering is. It's the same way, like, someone might find those Beast Machines toys amazing. It doesn't mean that we're in a golden age. The designs are fantastic. The engineering's fantastic. They're doing some amazing stuff. But who knows what tomorrow is going to be? Tomorrow might be amazing. The year after that might be amazing. The year after that, 5 years from now, will be amazing. A golden age really is a sum of all parts, where everything was firing on all cylinders. And right now, we don't have like a crazy TV series that we could tune into and be excited about. BotBots was great, but it was 12 episodes, 10 episodes, and we were done, and that's not something you could hang your hat on. EarthSpark is still so far away. So those are whole other different animals, unfortunately, where we're in, and the movie is delayed. So right now we're not in a golden age. Toys are great. Comic book is on its way out. Comic book's being canceled. Comic book's being canceled. Movie is delayed, and we have one TV series that was quickly on, and then we're not even talking about it anymore. And then EarthSpark is still months away. As opposed to in 2009, everyone was talking about Transformers Prime. Everyone was talking about Transformers Animated. The toys were just killing it on the shelves. Mainline, Classics lines, Universe 2.0. The movie was killing it. The comic books were killing it. Everything was killing it. Video games were killing it. You know? Everything was doing great. Everything was doing great. That was a golden age. T-Formers 2002 with the $2 super chat. Hey, Proto, still any word on the Niantic game? And that's another thing, too. All the mobile stuff is all just kind of floating. Nothing right now. No development, no nothing. Everything's fallen behind. The problem is the big V prevented them from doing any testing, and they don't want people going out and having gatherings and stuff like they did with Pokemon Go because of the big V. They were developing that game long before the big V was a thing. And then the big V came around, and much like a certain Rise of the Beast movie, everything had to be pushed back. Let's just say that game, when it comes out, is going to be ready to go when it's ready to go. Let's put it that way. Stinkfist69, EarthSpark show looks bad. I'll pass. Well, judge it. Watch it before you judge. I mean, I granted, yes, it does look kind of funky. I mean, like I said, in Canada, we have a grocery store called IGA, and IGA has commercials that look exactly like this uncanny valley humans that they have here. Look, maybe this is just a bad still image. You know what I mean? Like I said, Animated had a bad still image and it turned out great. But, you know, and these kids, they have like this Iron Man, you know, repulsor ray armor on their arms. So maybe they're going to help them fight the bots too or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I won't judge it until I see it. I can only just judge what my eyes tell me. My eyes are kind of like, let's see what happens. Nick Roche did the robot designs. He didn't do the human designs, so at least the robot designs will be probably interesting. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And Aaron Archer's in the house. What up, Aaron? Might as well take this time again to go, hey, check out episode 2 of me with Aaron. Toy Armada with Aaron Archer, part 2 on the channel. Be sure to check that out. Go on to your Google machine and type the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer, and it'll find his YouTube channel. Good stuff. Princeton Phalanx, I get what you were saying, but as a collector, this is the best I've seen in a long time, and I'm a few years older than you. Well, in a way, it's like it depends what you define as the best you've seen, because there was a lot of really good stuff at the time going on in Universe, in Generations, in, you know, Classics. The Masterpiece stuff that was done by Shogo Hisui was knocking it out of the park when he did that like Autobot car scale with starting with MP10 Optimus Prime and then going to Lambor and the Datsun brothers and the Lancias, whether it be Wheeljack or exhaust. Like, there's just a lot of incredible stuff. So every time I feel it gets better and better. And it's pretty good now too. Don't get me wrong. It's pretty good now too. It really is. It really, really is. But who knows what the future brings? You know? Look, we got MP10 Optimus Prime, and we kind of thought, okay, there's the best Optimus ever. You know? We thought, there we go. There's our pinnacle. And then we get our Earthrise Optimus Prime, you know, which is kind of like having MP10 at a more affordable retail price point. Obviously, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that MP10 has, or as much plastic, or as much paint, or as much engineering. But they managed to pack it in within that leader class price point. So I think we'll see what the future brings. But man, like, every year seems to be a really good year. Horned Owl, I found 2 of the old McDonald's Transformers, the burger and the fries. Oh, you're talking about the McChangeables at a vintage toy shop. They sit with my BotBots collection as the elder BotBots. Yeah, those weren't official Transformers. That was the McChangeables. I actually have the full set of them back there. I actually did a small little review of them many years ago on Twitter. They were something that at the time, you know, you have to understand, Hasbro tried to do Transformers with McDonald's with the G1 brand It didn't work out, and they only did a regional release in St. Louis in 1985, and that was that. And McDonald's was just kind of like, all right, well then if we're not going to get Hasbro to do Transformer stuff with us, we'll just make our own and capitalize on this transforming robot craze. And they did 3 waves of McChangeables, 3 different waves of McChangeables. They did an animated commercial with the Munchoids and all kinds of stuff. There's lore. There's literally lore involved. And then McDonald's did the Commandrons with Tommy, the company that Takara would end up merging with years later. They took the Commandrons and they made those McDonald's product, and those are little transforming robots that had a walking gimmick. I actually have a whole box of them down here because there's like millions of them out there because they're McDonald's toys. So, you know, they've done quite a few. They're not official Transformers, but they've done quite a few back in the day. But for them being the elder bots, yeah, I'd believe that, especially the Big Mac. Because the Big Mac kind of looks like Alpha Trion a little bit, because he has like a beard and everything. But in the commercial, he's kind of like a high-pitched guy. Kind of a different character. Maybe he's the Optimus Prime. Dunn donated $1. Dunn, ask a question. Oh, here we go. Dunn asked a question here. Dunn says here, any insight onto why we don't ever hear about factory stolen Star Wars Black Series or Marvel Legends? What's the difference with Transformers? Here's the thing. I don't want to name names, but it's because it started with us. Many years ago, many years ago, famous YouTubers that we have today that literally built their entire career on stolen product. You would have never knew who they were or watched their channels if it wasn't for the fact that they got those products first. I don't want to name names, but those dudes did that. And those dudes started this trend within our hobby. Within the other hobbies, Star Wars Black Series and especially Marvel Legends. Let me grab, I don't have a Marvel Legends packaging here though, but they're actually done in other factories. Specifically the Star Wars Black Series stuff. They're all done in other factories. So the guy who's stealing the Transformer stuff, and that is that connection, he's not in the same factory, he's not even in the same country as a lot of the Black Series stuff is being done in. Some Black Series stuff is done in Vietnam, but a lot of it is done in China. So they grab that stuff from there. I'm pretty sure if the toy community for Marvel or the toy community for Star Wars, if they wanted to have some kind of reviewing war and be able to review stuff before everyone else so they could build up their social cred, then it would exist. But Transformers is the one that unfortunately has guys that don't give a crap about that. The irony in that is a lot of those guys that did that in the early years, it kind of caught up with them. And then people kind of, even though they made a lot of money back then and they built big YouTube channels, who they were as people kind of caught up with them. And ultimately in the end, it didn't work out. So it is what it is. But it's just us, unfortunately, that has those poisonous people in there. And anyone who defends that stuff, man, it's like, it's totally cool. I don't care if people steal the toys. What if I showed up to your house and stole your stuff? Yeah? I'm sure you'd be cool with that too, right? Bunch of idiots. Princeton Phalanx 59, just hopeful Hasbro is starting to hit Unicron Trilogy for the younger generation. Well, that's something that they test. You know, they test stuff like that. They make Unicron Trilogy figures, and if those figures sell well, then they'll make more of it. It's not the first time we've had Unicron Trilogy figures in our classics kind of flavored lines. We had Starscream, we had other characters too, we had Hotshot. And at the time when those existed, specifically the Hotshot, it was too early, so you couldn't really measure it. Like, Unicron Trilogy fans were probably like teenagers at that point, not adults. So they're going to test it. They'll put out that Starscream, they'll put out a few other characters, and if it gets bought, and if it does well, especially that Titan class, they'll continue. They will continue. J.R. Mina, hello everyone. Hello Proto. Just finished doing some chores, and I've been listening to the stream since it started. Well, thank you, J.R. Mina from the Philippines, for joining us. And then he goes on to say, just to report, a new SRP for TF figures here in the Philippines have just started to be released, ranging an increase from 30% to 40%. Oh, the MSRP, the pricing. Collecting is starting to hurt the wallet. Oh, well, look, we've talked about this on the podcast many a times, is that, you know, April that just passed is when the new federal MSRP is going to be put out there for not just toys, but everything. It's going to be your gasoline. It's going to be your milk. It's going to be your bread, your butter, your eggs. You know, when you go to get coffee, it's going to be 50 cents to $1 more. And they're slowly, you know, putting it out there. It's already out there on a federal level. It's now a matter of how is Starbucks going to deal with it. They're not going to pay their employees more, but they're definitely going to increase the price, you know? So it's something where, how is that game going to be played out? How long is it going to take before the consumers start to see it? Some companies do it quicker than others. Like, obviously, distributors of Hasbro product, they get the memos. And then, like Chris Cox, like we talked about in the podcast, Hasbro CEO Chris Cox, he sent out a memo to all the distributors talking about the price increases across all the different brands, whether it be Star Wars or Transformers or Marvel or anything. So that is something that will be coming at some point. But at the same time, unfortunately, it's just kind of the way it is. You know, it's something where I have this discussion with close friends of mine, and I always go like, that's where you have to then say to yourself, and this isn't just from being a toy collector, just survival. You have to say to yourself, it's time to ask for more money from your boss. Because I promise you, whatever job you're working at, their stuff is going to increase. I worked at Burger King back in the day. So if you work at Burger King, I guarantee the price of all the food is going to increase. But guess what? Your paycheck is not going to increase. So if you ask for a raise, if anything, your boss is just going to be making the same money that he was making before the price increase if he gave a raise to everybody. But they won't do that unless you ask. The job of a boss is to make sure that they make maximum profit. And they're not going to give you the raise unless you ask. The best employee is the one that works hard and asks the least. So just remember that. So at the end of the day, you know, and guys, don't get political about it. It has nothing to do with politics. Trust me. At the end of the day, left or right, up or down, you know, it's all the same team. I know that you guys want to say it's this side or it's this side, but let me tell you something, it's neither side. It's all money that's mattered. The real boss in the end is not this guy that you voted for or this guy. It's Walmart, it's the bank companies and everything like that, okay? So I don't, you know, please. At the end of the day, there's a real reality when it comes to that kind of stuff. And when you truly understand how money flows and where that money flows from, trust me, it's not from the guy that you voted for. It really isn't. It really isn't. It really isn't. That kind of stuff is crazy. You know, as a Canadian, watching from the outside looking in, and all I could say is they're making you guys fight each other. That's what it is. It's literally two assholes, two bosses, and I have to swear for this. Two bosses going, uh-oh, they're getting a little smart. Oh, look what he's doing. Oh, look what he's doing. What are you doing, man? No, just play along. It's okay. They're just making you guys fight each other. And as a Canadian, we're just kind of going like, oh my God, I wish they would stop this, you know? Trust me, man. It's you just got to relax with that kind of stuff. You know, the world is a lot of really good people out there. And as someone who, before the Big V, used to go to the United States, gosh, 3-4 times a year, minimum. And they want to talk politics. Especially like, you know, when Bush was in charge or, you know, at the end of the day, guys, let me tell you, like, I don't have a stake in the game. So I'm able to look at it more rationally. You know, it's a lot easier to kind of compare the sides when you don't really have to like, ooh, I have a favoritism to this or that, you know? And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of guys looking to make sure they get their money forever. You know, that's all it takes. I always say, you want to know how good your president was? Find out what he does after he's not being president anymore. That's all I'm going to say. Do your research on that. Forget what he did when he was president. Look what he's doing when he's not president anymore. And then you'll find out who their boss really was. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. You know? Because I don't want to get into that. It's too crazy with that kind of stuff, because you should be more concerned with your own well-being and what you could do yourself as an individual. And when it comes to politics, while voting does matter, and there is certain issues that will exist on more of a lower plateau of stuff that'll matter, but you can't kind of put a boogeyman 100% on a lot of the left and right kind of stuff. Whichever side you lean on. I'm on neither. I don't care, you know? I'm not on that stuff, you know? Like, it's just, it's crazy how much I hate seeing people fight each other when the real villain is like hovering above them all, you know? Because people shouldn't be fighting, man. You really shouldn't. And I understand the crazy diversity that exists within the United States in terms of different cultures and different places where, you know, the West Coast is different. You know, like New York is different from LA, and LA is different from Texas, and Texas is different from Florida, and Florida is different from Wisconsin. Where, you know, living in somewhere like Canada, yeah, there's slight cultural differences, but how many cities are worth their weight in Canada that you could even name? So that'll give you an idea, you know. So we're a little more unified with that because we don't really have that, you know. Like if you go to Vancouver and you go to like Toronto, yeah, it's the same kind of dudes, you know. We're all kind of the same. We all like hockey, you know. It's a different animal. Stinkfist69, I was joking. I don't really care. I just know everything costs more, and I'm not making more. Yeah, well, and that's what my advice that I give people is: fight for your dollar. You know, fight for your dollar, because if you're making $10 now, I guarantee in a year from now that $10 is not worth $10. It's worth $9.50 now. Fight for your dollar. That's the thing that I want you guys to do more than anything is if you're in that, if you have that kind of situation, talk to your boss and go, look, hey, you know, inflation's a thing. Milk is now 50 cents more. My gasoline is now this more. If you could give me 20 cents more, 50 cents more, $1 more, it'll help me. And don't tell me, well, if I give you $1 more, we're making less, because guess what? He's selling this now, this for more. At my own garage, we used to ask $40 for an oil change. Guess what? It's not $40 anymore. You know? So everything increased. So that means that the money is up. Or it just balances out in the end. But if all the employees get paid the same, you know, as they were before the inflation, then technically the company is making more money. And then they could afford to give those raises, because they'd just be going back to square one. Guys, don't fight. Please don't fight with this stuff, you know? That's why I don't like talking about politics, because that's when it ultimately separates everybody. And at the end of the day, like I said, nobody wins. Nobody wins. There's only one people that win, and let me tell you something, they have way more money than we do. Those are the only people that truly win in all of this. It's just the people that have way more money than we do. How about a super chat that's actually related to Transformers? Here we go. JR Mina, time to shift the discussion. Thank you, Filipino man. You're where it's at. What's for dinner, Proto? You know what I actually had? I went to Costco today because I had to pick up bread, milk, and everything. And I actually picked up a poutine. They're not the best poutine you could have in the world, but I was really craving one. So I picked up a poutine there because you could kind of order stuff and then take it to go. And then I ate it in the car because I couldn't wait. I didn't want all the cheese to melt and everything, so I just kind of ate it in the car. And good stuff, good stuff. But what am I going to have today? I don't know. I was thinking of, I I don't know. I'm just like such in a junk food kind of mood. Like, I don't know. I definitely want to make something like I want to make Japanese curry tomorrow. That's 100 because if I make it tomorrow on Sunday, I could have it the rest of the week. But I do not know what I'm going to have tonight. I'm going to have to look at the fridge. Maybe fish. I'm not sure yet. I'm probably going to get fish or something. Here comes all the super chats. Thank you, people. Oscar Mendrano wants to know, off-topic question, your favorite NHL team. Brother, I am from Montreal, so you got to take a guess on that one. I'll give you an honest answer. Back in the 90s, Montreal Canadiens fan my whole life. But I also really liked the St. Louis Blues when I was a kid because I was a big fan of Brett Hull. He was an awesome hockey player in the 90s. Golden Brett, just like his father. I was a goalie my whole life, and I always thought, like, you know, his slap shot from the blue line was, or at the top of the circle, was probably one of the best slap shots in the league, getting a one-timer from Adams Oates. But otherwise, Montreal Canadiens through and through, best hockey team of all time, best hockey team ever. You know, when you live in Montreal, you live and eat and breathe hockey. That's all I'm going to say. If I wanted to voice a bot, I want to voice that hockey puck. You know, I want to voice Puxley. I'll do it like this, eh? I'll be the hockey player, eh? Thanks again for making the podcast, bro, for the collection. Hey, thank you, Oscar, for the good question, my friend. A little hockey talk. Little hockey talk. David Cabal says, I'm on Proto-Man's side. There is no sides, man, David. Just let's treat each other well, you know? Let's treat each other well. Like, that's the thing. Like, I just hate seeing people fight. You know, like, it's, as a Canadian, and you could stereotype me all you want, but to see my brothers down under the border fighting amongst each other, you know, it's like being like the older brother and seeing your two younger brothers who are twins, like, fighting each other. You know what I mean? And when at the end of the day, it's actually that evil uncle that's the blame, you know? He's the one that caused all of this, but he's like hiding in the corner snickering while he's counting his money or something. New topic incoming, laugh out loud, from John Mayer. Thank you, John. On the scale of Unicron to Star Saber, what size project do you think HasLab should tackle next and when? I honestly think that Primus just kind of seems like the next natural decision. Not even because of Primus, but because you could advertise, hey, we're doing Cybertron. And then that could be in all the news. Like, it's all about doing that mainstream media attention where you could be on IGN News, you know, Hasbro Pulse and HasLab to do Cybertron transforming Transformer. And they don't need to, like, you know, pretend that there actually was one in 2006 that was done back in the day. They could just use that as a big selling point. The first time ever done in this scale. A big, giant, globe-sized Cybertron with all the small regions on the surface that it's Kaon, it's the Crystal City and Iacon and the Sea of Rust and blah, blah, blah. They could do all that crazy detail. And then it transforms into Primus. They could do that. I could see the marketing behind it from all the mainstream, you know, Geek News and IGN and Kotaku and all the different guys that are going to pretend that they're Transformer fans for a day when they write up their articles. You know, it would be perfect. It would be perfect. And it gives them an excuse to refresh that Primus trademark and keep it safe for another 4 years. And it's something that naturally is a good companion piece to people who already invested in Unicron. So when they got those people back in 2019 that dropped the $600, hey, it's been a couple years now. Their wallets have recovered. Now they could get in on Primus, and then they could have that companion piece, because if you got Unicron, now you're compelled to get Primus. That's the way I see it. Super easy. It's a slam dunk in my opinion. Will people buy it? That's a different story. But at least from the marketing standpoint, I could already see how you could kind of paint that picture and do the boardroom meeting, the elevator pitch, as I like to call it. You know, there's already a way that you could do it. Let's see what else we got. Stinkfist69, I was able to order Legacy Blue Streak from Hasbro Pulse. You mean the Legacy Silver Streak or Blue Streak? Which one? I guess he's called Silver Streak. Legacy Blue Streak. We'll just call him that. Buzzworthy Bumblebee Legacy Blue Streak, which I think is awesome. That's my favorite color scheme of all the Datsun brothers. I have all of them in the masterpieces, including the blue streak colors, and I love that color scheme. I love it. The original Datsun Z, I believe it's the 250Z. No, the 270 I think he is, because of the different bumper. The 270Z, originally from Bluebird, and the Fairlady Z company, came in that blue. That was the standard color that it came in Japan. So it's gorgeous. Gorgeous car. Gorgeous car. Such a piece of motoring history. J.R. Mina, what do you use for Japanese curry recipe? Do you start from scratch, or do you use packed pre-made curry sauce? I use potatoes, basic rustic potatoes. I use carrots. I use, usually it's beef cubes that are used for like fondue. So I buy those beef cubes that are fresh from the grocery store. They only last about 2 days, so that's why you got to make the curry right away. And for the sauce, I use the curry cubes. Like they're curry cubes. What you do is you kind of put it in the water and it dissolves and it thickens everything. I use those ones. I use a brand called Golden Japanese Curry. It's an actual Japanese brand, and I get it from the Asian supermarket here in Montreal. And I put 4 of those cubes, and it's delicious. Oh, and I put sautéed onions in there too. I put onions, and then I sauté the onions, and I put that. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's amazing, and I make a giant vat of it, and it feeds me for like 4 days straight. Like, no joke. And it is so good. It is so good. The only negative thing about it's a little high on sodium, but otherwise, good stuff. A lot of beta carotene, a lot of fiber, a lot of starch, a lot of protein. Just the sodium is the only negative in it, but it's good. And it is filling. And of course, I have it with brown rice on the side. I make it in my rice cooker, brown rice. Sign me up, brother. Amazing. Stinkfist69, that's when the older brother puts the younger brother in one's place. No, you gotta talk. Communication and conversation goes a long way. And the person who doesn't want to talk, in all honesty, if he doesn't want to hear it and he doesn't want to talk, then they're usually the one that's being a little immature. You know what I mean? If they don't want to hear it, it's because they don't want to hear another perspective. They're kind of set in their ways. And sometimes it's hard to have those conversations with people. Princeton Phalanx 59 wants to know, have you watched Marvel's Moon Knight? No, I have not. One of my buddies, Brian, he burned through it. And he actually read the Moon Knight comics. I never read anything of Moon Knight. I was a big Marvel Comics reader, but Moon Knight was not exactly on my bedside manner, let's put it this way. And he said that it's very different from what the comics were, and he thinks that, and again, I haven't seen it, so I don't want to spoil, but all I'm going to say is he thinks that the reason why they made it different was they didn't want 2 Tony Starks, whatever that means. So, or like 2 Batmans, but I'll see it one day. I'll try to find time for it. The problem is like, I mean, I got really hooked on a couple of Nintendo Switch games recently. So any free time that I had, I kind of put into that, unfortunately. To watch shows, I just don't have time for it. You know, I caught the 1 episode of Attack on Titan for the season finale, and that was like literally it for like watching shows this week. I just didn't have time for any of that. I really did not. I wanted to even watch some other anime stuff, you know, that was new and that was like making its debut that week. You know, I give it like the 1 episode test, see if it's any good, and I just didn't have a chance to do any of that. I'm also enjoying Halo, says Stinkfist69. And then Princeton says, I'm good. I haven't seen Halo either. I've had no time. The problem is for me is to sit down and really do that kind of stuff. Like, I wish I had like when I wake up on a Sunday tomorrow, right? That's my day off. Right? That's my day where I could do anything I want. You know, I could just relax, or I could just do laundry. I don't have to do a podcast. I don't have to do a live stream. I don't have to do grocery shopping. I could do whatever I want. And that's the day where I start crunching. I just go like, okay, so I'm going to clean this. I'm going to do laundry here. and then I'm going to like fit in like, you know, I'll watch a movie or I'll watch 3 episodes of something. It's usually that hour and a half to 2 hours. You know, I'll try to fit something in there, you know, so it's tough. It's tough. Like, and to me, like, I really want to, you know, like the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie came out. I'm not even a big Sonic the Hedgehog guy. I grew up with Sonic, you know, during the console wars and stuff. And I liked the first Sonic movie. You know, the Archie Sonic comics were okay. My buddy Lee J was the one who was really into Sonic. I don't even know if Lee J's in the chat today. He usually pops in from Montreal. But, you know, I kind of want to see it, but I want to, you know, I don't want to go to theaters right now. So is there a streaming service? Is there, so like there's certain things that I also want to watch. I just don't have the time. Just don't have the time. Where are we at here? People are just going, what is that? I don't even know. They're talking amongst themselves. They're all talking amongst themselves, and we have 1 minute left in the stream. I apologize for any politics talk. It is not my choice. I am not a politic person. The only person I vote for is me, myself, and my family. That's all that matters. And protecting those individuals and my friends. And their beliefs and their politics are their beliefs and their politics. If you like the color red and I like the color blue or vice versa, it's not worth having a war over. You know, you could go to a restaurant and we each order different meals. And we take care of ourselves. You know? And that's how it should be. Just kind of take care of yourselves and don't worry about the bigger picture of things, because at the end of the day, like I said, we're only in control so much. And I think that everything is blown up now more than ever because of the stress and everything of the big V. So many people not being able to just go out and hang out. You know, like I have a little more tough skin when it comes to that. And I've been able to like deal with it. I remember even like my sister, I had a talk on the phone with her and she was like, you know, how do you deal with like, you know, just not seeing people at all? And I'm like, I've not seen Jaws D face to face in 2 years. We talked on the phone, we talk on Skype, but I have not. And this is a guy that I saw 100 times a year. We live in the same city. We're best buds, you know? It's just, I just have a thick skin with that kind of stuff. And I know that one day we'll get through this and then we could get back to chilling and having a good time. And hopefully it'll be sooner than later. That's all I hope more than anything else. That's really what I hope more than anything else, is that it'll be sooner more than later. But I'm not in control of that, nor will I be in control of that. Trust me, I wish if I could somehow magically make this all go away, I could. If I could, I would. But, you know, that is the world we live in right now. And hopefully we could, you know, nothing is ever forever. And one day we'll get all over it and we'll all be back together and we'll all be able to chill and hang out and talk about the real more important things in life, which is robots and toys and video games and action figures and stuff like that. Not just making some dude rich that's never going to see our face and know our name or care about us ultimately in the end. And that's a fact. So thank you all for coming. I hate to end it on that. John Mayer just wants to ask one last super chat. How do I get the membership call out? Just ask me to make you do a call out. I'll do it. I'll gladly say your name, my friend. You know, just ask if you're part of the YouTube membership or the Patreon. Just send me a message, whether it be through any form of contact, and just bug me. It's not a bother to me. You know. If you're part of those, you know, that's the thing. If you're a Patreon member or a YouTube member of the podcast, you get access to that stuff, my friend. And thank you, Horned Owl, for reminding me. Now that you're done today listening to me, go to the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer on his channel. Again, go to YouTube and just type the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. And go listen to more Transformers. Listen to my dumb voice for more 2 hours, and Aaron Archer's, who's not as dumb. But mine's definitely dumb. And listen to the creation of Unicron and then some and all the cool stuff. It's a lot more visual than this shit. So you'll love it here too. I just want to say thank you everyone for coming. And again, if you want to support the podcast and all the craziness that we do here, again, go to Patreon, patreon.com/Protoman, or check the pinned comment or the description below in the replay of this, and help support the podcast. If Patreon is not your thing, we also have YouTube membership. If you prefer to do it through that kind of service, then join the YouTube membership. Patreon and YouTube membership do have different perks, so be sure to read those before you sign up for them. But both of them are ways that support the podcast and help us keep going week to week, day to day, year to year. And hopefully one day I'll be able to see all of you in person at TFCon or some con at some point. Again, TFCon right now is looking good, but who knows what 3 months will bring. I don't want to make any promises I can't keep, but we will see then. Thank you all for coming. Thanks everyone for the super chat questions. Thanks everyone for the love and support. Take care of yourselves. Treat each other well. It's a crazy world out there. There's a lot of crazy people. We don't need to be part of that crazy. Take care of yourselves. Love each other. Go kiss your family. Take care. Bye-bye.